What is going on, everybody? Welcome into the Hump Day Hotline on the Buffalo Rumblings Vodcast Network. My name is Joe Miller. I'm the host of the show. Sitting next to my co-host,
Jay Spencer King, and it's Hump Day. Hump Day. On 420. What up, y'all?
On 420. Hump that like. Toke the like. I don't know. Whatever makes you
blaze that like. Go ahead, blaze that like up for us real quick, y'all.
Whatever makes you happy. So do your thing. But yeah, dude, it's Hump Day. It's another Wednesday. So this is what? Is this our second Wednesday back? Is that right? Third Wednesday, second Wednesday? Where are we at?
I think it's third.
Third Wednesday back. So next week is going to be the draft, which I'm really excited. Do you have any draft plans for next week? Oh, you're going to be at the draft. You're going to be at the draft.
And actually, we're going to talk about that afterwards. I don't know if you want to get another guest because I planned on leaving after work on Wednesday. So I might not be able to, So, I mean, you might, we'll talk about it.
Well, you could just buy me a plane ticket.
That works too.
I'm remembering now why I hate your guts. It's because you're going to the draft in Las Vegas without me.
This was you last year, though. You were making all the trips, doing all the fun stuff. You and the Market Dominator was like, you guys were everywhere partying it up. And I'm like sitting here at home like, oh, man, I'm not part of the cool crew.
You were invited. You were. I can't go anyway. I'm into week 3 of a new job. There's no way that I can go. But it is draft season. It's free agency season. It's OTA season. So the Bills have officially reported to OTAs, the off-season workout program for the Buffalo Bills, or the players, I should say, have reported. What are your thoughts so far? And I've got basically, I want to go through real quick if I can, if you want to give me that opportunity, just kind of like what happens during OTAs and what that means, because a lot of times people don't know. But before that, what are your thoughts so far on OTA? Do you have thoughts about it at all or no?
I have 2 quick thoughts. First, Von Miller is a Buffalo Bill.
I think he's surprised. It sounded like he was surprised.
It blew my mind. Like, I watched the pressers, but even before that, like the video that the Bills posted when they're like, the boys are back in town and everybody's walking up. Yeah. And then he's like, he did the Josh Allen thumbs up thing. Yeah, and it's just like, dude, Von Miller is at he's at One Bills Drive, like working out with my guys. He's working out with Josh and Ed Oliver.
He showed up day 1 of OTAs, which, and there's a lot being made. I'm sure we can get into it. There's a lot being made about a certain dude that's not there, while there's other dudes that aren't there.
Guy.
Big Dubs. He's going to get paid. He's going to get paid somewhere. That's the fact. But let's do this. Oh, you said you had 2 thoughts. What was the other thought?
Well, and the second thought was actually going to be pay my guy. So go for
it. pay Jordan Boyer. He's going to get his money. How much he's going to get, who knows? But I'm excited for Jordan. I'm excited to see him kind of get retirement type money for an NFL player. But just so everybody knows, OTAs, there are strict rules and guidelines as it pertains to NFL franchises and what they can put players through. Everything is considered a phase in OTAs. It's 4 weeks long. So I'm going to read this. This might get tedious. If you want to stop me and ask me a question, you can. I'll try to answer. Workouts cannot begin prior to the first Monday in April for clubs, unless they've got a brand new head coach. Then they can actually show up a week early. Workouts are strictly voluntary. We already know that. Minimum 4 workouts per week, no weekends, with 1 week being the mandatory mini camp, not permitted on weekends. Contact work is prohibited in all workouts. Intensity and tempo of drills should be at a level conducive to learning, with player safety at its highest priority. Phase 1, 4 hours a day. 2 weeks, limited to strength and conditioning activities, dead ball. Only strength and conditioning coaches are allowed on the field. 90 minutes max on the field. Clubs can only specify 2 hours for player to be at the facility. Players choose the other 2 hours for weights, etc., not etc. My bad. Phase 2, 4 hours a day. So this is week 2. 3 weeks. This is 3 weeks. That's weird. 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever. Phase 2, same rules apply as phase 1, except all coaches are allowed on the field. Individual and perfect play drills are allowed. No offense versus defense. No one-on-one. No helmets. Phase 3, 6 hours a day. It says 4 weeks total. I don't think that's worded right. I think it's week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4 type stuff. 3 weeks for 10 total OTAs. I don't know what's this saying. I could be confused about that. A maximum of 3 OTAs each week for the first 2 weeks. Does that make sense?
No, but it's okay. We're rolling with it.
During weeks, I'm reading this straight off the internet, yo. During weeks 1 and 2, a fourth non-OTA workout is allowed, but phase 2 rules apply. A maximum of 4 OTAs for the third or fourth week, 1 week for mini camp. No pads except protective knee and elbow pads. Helmets are permitted. No live contact, 7-on-7, 9-on-7, yada yada. And then mini camp, 10 hours a day. That's a lot, man. That's a long day. Physicals on Monday, but no practice. Practice Tuesday to Thursday. A day off on Friday. Allowed 2 practices totaling 3.5 hours. Second practice limited to walkthrough activities only. Right now, they are, all that to say this, they are in phase 1, which basically means, from my understanding from conversations I've had, it's a lot of classwork and working out. So they get to work, train, and a lot of classwork. So they're carrying books and sitting in classrooms today.
Yep.
That was
stuff.
boring.
Like you. They're in training like you.
Right. Theirs is probably a little more fun. They're broing it up and having a good time and making jokes. But when you think about just the breakdown of the, it was nice that they made Josh Allen and Von Miller available to the media today, as well as coach. And yes, I need to have his hat stat too. That hat that I actually saw it today for the first time on Justin Fields. Justin Fields was wearing the Bears version, and I literally said out loud, "Is there a Bills version of that hat?" And then lo and behold, Josh Allen was wearing it. But then Brandon Beane. So what struck out, or what stood out to you in all 4 of the press conferences that we got access to today? What stood out to you? What was the most striking thing that you heard? Well, other than Von Miller being surprised he's a Buffalo Bill.
Well, that didn't, him being surprised that he's a Buffalo Bill, he's been consistent in saying that the entire time. Like on every interview, he's just like, I'm leaving AD and I'm leaving, like he always, and I get it. He'd talk about leaving LA to come to Buffalo. I get it.
Voluntary.
But for me, I think there's a couple things that stuck out. One, I love, even though we kind of beat up on Sean, and sometimes we beat up on Brandon a little bit when it comes to the lack of transparency about certain things.
Sure.
I honestly, I feel like that's unfair. After, like, every year when we listen to these guys at the end of the season and then going into the OTAs and going into the draft and all this stuff, I really feel like they tell us exactly what they're going to do, but they just speak in their code. So it's like you don't really, unless you are plugged in, you don't know. And listening to this, I feel like Brandon Beane really basically just told us exactly what's going to happen next week.
Yep.
I feel like he told us what they're looking for. He told us how they are still obviously in the market for a cornerback. It's not like he doesn't feel comfortable. And I love the fact that we have a team now that really, it doesn't matter which network you turn on or which content creator or which journalist that you go to. The Buffalo Bills are consistently the best, second or third best team in the NFL going into this next season before the draft. Everybody is saying the whole Super Bowl, Super Bowl or bust, the whole entire NFL.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And we still have a GM. So we already added Von Miller. We added, Jamison Crowder, and we added, Tim Settle Jr. Like we made moves this year. And he's still not satisfied. He's like, no, I'm still not comfortable, man. We got to get this and we got to do that. And I just love the fact that he's always trying to refine the roster to make sure that we're better.
Right.
Like I just love that from him, man. And I know I have this love fest when it comes to Brandon Beane, but it's like, have we ever in Buffalo sports? No, it's a lot of bit. It's a lot of bit. I accept it. Like, I really think he took over my whole Tremaine love. Like, I love Tremaine still, but Brandon Beane just came through like a spider monkey and just took over everything, man. But he's just perfect, honestly. Like, he's doing his job, and nobody's perfect. But I mean, like, aside from his couple misses, like the guy, he's a genius at building rosters. He's a genius at changing culture. He's a genius at putting the right people together that will fit. He's basically a genius puzzle finisher or whatever you call it. I don't know what you call it when that's your hobby, is to do puzzles. Am I a puzzler? Like, what am I?
How about this? Bruce Nolan says Beane speaking is like the 2 sets of prints in the sand poem. You only see it when you look backwards at it. That's kind of what you're saying.
But it's true, because it's like he literally is telling you what he's going to do, but you can't understand it until it's done. So perfect.
Yeah. Although the collusion between the two of them and the two pressers together are a little bit interesting, just because McDermott was like, maybe we can move up twice into the first round. Like, so, which kind of and then he said, I prefer chocolate shakes, which was even funnier, because he baited the media and began to answer some of their questions, and then was like, I'm out. I'm not answering any more questions about this. But I think it just solidified in me that they know that they don't have room for 7 draft picks on this football team. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. However, if they move back, right, they move back, they're going to be collecting draft picks. So it's going to be interesting to see if they value picks this year or value picks next year, because they could always, let somebody move it in the first round and do something for next year versus stocking up for this year. And then the other thing that kind of goes along with that kind of puts another twist on the whole thing is Bean saying that he doesn't think there's 32 round one grades out there. He said he didn't think there were last year either, but Russo fell to them and they had a first round grade on him. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how this whole thing shapes up. I was confused by the one reporter. I know who it was. I'm not going to mention his name. After Bean said he was unsettled with his roster, then the guy, that was like the first question he asked him, he goes, "So you don't think you have any needs on this team? Like any draft needs at all?" And Bean was like, "What are you talking about? Be specific. You don't think you need a cornerback?" He goes, "I absolutely need a cornerback."
Right. And he's like, "I'm not going to take a quarterback. We're good there."
Right.
But
right.
but then you know what? I even think when it comes to the draft, like there was a part there and he threw in there, I'm being hypothetical here, I'm just making this up, but he even talked about, I don't know if I feel like 5th and 6th rounders will help us this much this year.
Right.
And we only have a certain amount and I feel like he was talking, but he was being hypothetical. So that way, obviously, you don't want to show your hands to other GMs and you don't want to do this, that, and the third. But I think it's clear, like they have a plan going into the draft like they do every year. And if you go back 5 years from today, it's completely different when you're talking about like going into this week.
Right.
5 years ago today, it was like we were hoping that they would take the right quarterback. And then let's be honest about it. Mostly everybody, not everybody, but mostly everybody was super disappointed when they read that card and said 7th overall going to the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills select Josh Allen from Wyoming. Everybody hated it. Everybody hated it. I wanted Lamar Jackson. There was a small part of me early on in the process that wanted Baker. Everybody hated it. Other people wanted the other Josh. Today, next week, we're going on in this, and it's amazing to sit back and say, you know what? I'm just going to trust Brandon and just lean back.
So two things. Number one is it's unfair to pigeonhole everybody, and you weren't, but I wanted Josh Rosen. And when I say that I wanted Josh Rosen, it doesn't mean that I wanted Baker Mayfield or Sam Darnold less. I figured those two were gone. We're not getting Baker Mayfield or a shot at Sam Darnold. So for me, it was one of the 3-4 guys, right? Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Josh Rosen, and then Kyle Rudolph was the other guy in that mix. Was he not? Wasn't he another guy that was being thrown around in the first round? Wasn't it not Kyle Rudolph? I didn't
hear Kyle Rudolph much.
Not Rudolph. Who's the quarterback that went to the Steelers? It's not Kyle Rudolph. It's
Duck Hodgins?
No, somebody else. Chris Jenke knows who it was. He'll tell us here in a second. But I wanted Rosen because he was the best of what I thought was going to be left, right? So anyways, the thing about the draft for me and trusting Brandon Bean, I don't even think it requires the necessity to Mason Rudolph. Thank you, Chris and Daniel Gowries. Mason Rudolph, my bad. He's the one that got in the fight with Myles Garrett, if you remember correctly. He was the QB that did that. But anyway, I don't think you have to address the fact that he's missed on some picks. And the reason is because it isn't a 1-for-1. We've talked about it on this show a lot, that it's a crapshoot. It's literally about as lucky and gambling as it gets. The amount of guys, Joe Marino was on WGR this morning with Jeremy and Joe DiBiase and was talking about, and they were right, the 3 or 4 best running backs in the NFL right now are taken in the second round. They're not even first round draft picks. The idea that you're going to hit on every single player or even come remotely close to that is ludicrous. Brandon Bean has done a fantastic job finding guys all over the draft. He's missed on some guys. Obviously, we traded Wyatt Teller because it was a guy that was going to get probably cut, so we got something for him. But for all intents and purposes, he's done a masterful job, especially in the late rounds and in undrafted. When you think about like a guy like Levi Wallace, who came here and played football, started for this football team as an undrafted free agent. But that whole entire team is stacked. Von Miller said it today in his presser. Take the stars out of it, and the team we have is really good. The team that locker room is really solid. But yeah, I'm excited to. I guess I'm excited to sit back and watch this one. The same position we were in last year, and be surprised when he takes somebody I've never heard of, and not sure he should have taken that guy. He did last year.
For me personally, there's only like one draft pick that I would be like, man, there's only one draft pick that I didn't want that we've drafted. I'm not gonna bash anybody, so I'm not gonna go there. But
yeah,
I think everybody, and I'm not necessarily to pigeonhole everybody, but like I do feel like everybody was in the same place. I think even Bruce said, don't trade up for Josh Allen. Don't trade up. Like I feel like I saw one of his tweets that he retweeted saying that.
Yeah.
And I just think that it's one of those things where I think now as a fan base, more and more we're seeing that, you know what, we can just go into this and trust them. Because I have anxiety about next week. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Really?
Because I feel like we have two needs, and I feel like every time we have those or a specific need, since we've gotten Brandon Beane, it's like, yeah, but I'm gonna go with best player available. So it doesn't matter what you guys want. We're just gonna do what we, we're gonna build our team. I think we need a receiver and a cornerback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
David S says, okay, I'm here. What I missed? Well, David, the Buffalo Bills are moving. The stadium deal is off, and Jay Spence and I are breaking up. So that's what you've missed.
We just been partying. I was talking about how much I love Brandon Beane, and I said to extend my guy Jordan Poyer. Shout out to Jordan Poyer. That's it. We just been talking about that.
Is he watching?
I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know.
I might get nervous
Maybe.
if he's watching. If he's watching, I might get nervous. Where were we when I totally derailed this?
Well, I was just talking about how just at the point now where we can trust what Brandon Beane is doing, even though I have some anxiety going into the week.
Yeah,
because I really do feel like we need a
wide receiver. That's what you said. Wide receiver, cornerback. Yep.
And it doesn't have to be wide receiver first or cornerback. It doesn't. However it falls. And I know that a lot of people don't feel like we really need a wide receiver, especially after today with Brandon Beane's presser. He sat there and he basically oozed about Gabriel Davis. And he talked about how he was ready to go right now. Like, he's like, I don't know if this guy took a day off during the offseason. Like, I feel like he can put the helmet on and go right now. And that's wonderful to hear. It is absolutely wonderful to hear. And I love Jamison Crowder. And I think he's going to be a slight upgrade to Cole Beasley, not in the sense that Cole Beasley is lesser of a player. I think Cole Beasley is a better receiver.
Right.
But I think for what the team is trying to do, I think Jamison Crowder is going to fit the offense better. He's going to give us that yards after reception, and it's just going to be a little bit better. So I do feel like we could go into the season with this wide receiver core and be okay. But I'm talking about Super Bowls, man, and that's why I keep giving this example. When you look at I know injuries happen, but if you look at the Rams playing last year, OBJ got injured in the first half, but they had OBJ, Cooper Kupp, before Woods got injured. That would have been a three-headed monster there as far as receivers.
Yeah. For sure. I just don't know who's there. Who's there? I mean, you've done some draft work, which I have not. Who's there at wide receiver that's going to be available at 25 for the Bills that's going to come in and make an impact?
Dude, there's a lot of, honestly, this draft is deep with wide receiver. And I don't necessarily need somebody to come in and beat out Gabriel Davis for the number 2 role. We have our number 1 guy. We have Davis as our number 2. And again, we have Crowder for the slot, for the slot. And we have
McKenzie's in there too. McKenzie's in there too, right?
McKenzie's in there, but I look at McKenzie more of a luxury. Like, I look at him as a, he's a piece. He's a chess move when the other team thinks they know what we're doing. It's like, all right, we got Isaiah McKenzie on you. We're gonna throw iMac out there for you. Right, so that's how I see Isaiah McKenzie.
Right.
I need somebody that we can depend on, and somebody who can grow. Again, we just paid Diggs. So what if Gabriel Davis does ball out next year, and then say he's that guy? Are we going to give him the same contract we gave Diggs? Like, I mean, if he earns it.
I think there's something to be said too, and nobody wants to have this conversation. And I'm as much for a running back in the first round as I am a wide receiver. I don't think we should take a wide receiver in the first round either. And I get longevity; they play longer, but you can find good wide receivers in the second and third rounds, guys that will be impact players and play for a long time. At some point in time, and I was interviewed by Griff last night, and I can't remember the name of his show. Griff, I apologize if you're watching. He's a Patriots fan, and I've been on his show a couple times. But we had a good conversation and kind of just talked about the fact that at some point in time, if you want to extend Josh Allen's career, you've got to stop him from the entire offense going through him. So at some point in time, running back is going to be a need for this football team. I think you've talked about it, that how much better could Josh Allen be if there was a running back behind him that could be dominant. I don't have that answer. I don't know who that person is, and I don't know what round you take him. I don't even know if he exists in this draft. But at some point in time, every year that goes on, the Josh Allen is running as much as he is and taking the hits he's taken. His career is shortening, and there are people that are examples of that. One of them being Jim Kelly. Jim Kelly's career was shortened because of the amount of hits that he took in the USFL as a Houston Gambler. What's the running back situation look like in this draft, in your opinion?
I think there's a couple guys. Obviously, I know the big names that everybody's been talking about on Twitter and stuff. But when it comes to the running game, I think Bills fans are going to be disappointed because I think that the unless it's just like an obvious talent falls to a selection that we have and like they have to take them. I think that the Buffalo Bills are absolutely happy with the running back room that we have. I don't think that honestly they at the end of the season they loved everything that they saw out of Devin Singletary. They just brought in a guy in Duke that is gonna be what they wanted from JD McKissick, but for less money. So it's like they absolutely I'm not saying that we don't have Jonathan Taylor back there. We don't have
second round pick Jonathan Taylor.
Should have been a first round pick, Jonathan Taylor, but we don't have that. No, but what we do have is the type of running game that can complement a Josh Allen. So I think they're happy. I don't think that they feel like they need to get a Jonathan Taylor. It would be nice, man. I would risk it all for a Jonathan Taylor on this team.
Yeah, no, I would too. I was just asking the question. Like I said, I'm not a proponent for running back in round one or wide receiver. I think for me, the list is cornerback. I think you've got to get a defensive back to play on this football team until Trey is ready. A guy that can come in and start day one and then just kind of see where it goes from there with between him, Cam Lewis, and Dane Jackson. I think there's definitely got to be some. Do you want to talk about this real quick?
Yeah, I was going to ask you about this, about Jamison William or Chris Olave slipping to 25. You got to pick them. That's what my man D said here. What do you think about that? As far as anywhere in the draft, like who are you looking at? But as far as these two guys, if they slip to us, do you feel like that's a home run? You got to take it.
I don't know who these two guys are. How about that?
Okay, so you haven't done draft. It's okay.
Nope.
It's okay.
This week for me is draft work.
Well, I'll tell you what, D, I'll tell you, I think if Williams falls, absolutely, you got to pick up Williams if he falls to us. I don't think he's gonna fall. I think there's no way possible that he makes it past like the 15th pick. Yeah. And I could be wrong, but I just don't see it. I don't see it.
What position are those two players?
We're talking about running back and wide receiver.
The two guys that were just put up there. Yeah, mm-hmm. I just don't know. To me, and this gets into that best player available versus draft needs. And the Bills have a serious need at corner, in my opinion. And obviously I think we'd all agree interior offensive line, wide receivers is a potential need. I don't know how this whole thing's going to shake out. So I'm going to start my draft prep probably Thursday, Friday night. And I'm going to get into it for the Overreaction show on Sunday and give more of my feelings. I've done some work on linebackers. That's it. Only because of all the Tremaine nonsense that's been going on. So I've done quite a bit of work on linebackers, but outside of that, I haven't studied anybody yet. The draft. I love the draft. I love the draft process. I love watching the draft. I don't get into who's the seventh best offensive tackle. Right.
I'll send you. I have a spreadsheet that I can send you that actually breaks down pretty much like any position, any player.
Yeah,
I'll send it to you. It'll be a good tool for you.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great.
Let's see what's going on in the comments here. Daniel says Motor was in the last year of his rookie deal, and Moss is marginalized this season. There is a need at running back. Again, not this season. There isn't. If you draft somebody next year, okay, Motor can be gone. You draft somebody next year, but Motor's in the last year of his deal. And technically it's a prove it year. He's going to want to earn a contract. If not with the Bills, he's going to want to earn it somewhere. So he's going to have to show and prove. Same thing with Moss. You're right. He was marginalized, but I tell you what, he was coming off of an ankle foot injury that was actually from what I found out afterwards. And you'll all hear it on the code of conduct next month when I have him on May 10th, There was a severe injury to his foot and he just wasn't the same guy. And that's not an excuse. If you're on the field, you need to play, and he felt healthy enough to play, but turns out that was an issue for him. So, if you're talking about foot and ankle injuries and we're going to, I still think that, I think that upgrading the offensive line the way they did, going to get an all-pro caliber left guard, you signed your right guard. Well, he was technically left guard too, but you signed a guy that's going to now switch to right guard, and you're doing all this stuff. You absolutely feel like you have enough what it takes now to run the ball properly. You also signed a new offensive line coach,
big time.
I think is an upgrade, period. like just period.
Big time.
So I don't know.
No, I'm with you on those points for sure. It'll be interesting to see how the whole thing rolls out. And it's going to be interesting to see the fingerprints and just kind of the stamp that Ken Dorsey puts on this offense. Are they going to run more? Are they going to run different? Are they going to be more I don't know what the word is, situationally aware when they run the football versus the way that they ran the football last year. It all remains to be seen. Jessica Tennis is addressing you. She says, my biggest concern is the backup for Dawkins in case he goes down. In my opinion, he is the second most person on the offense, second most important person on the offense, and has no clue where Tommy, and we have no clue where Tommy
She's
Doyle
saying
is.
she has no clue where Tommy Doyle is. So as far as, why don't you take that first?
As far as the need on the offensive line or the need, for me, it's interior offensive line. I know that tackles are gold and tackles are money. We've got between obviously Dawkins and no, we don't know where Tommy Doyle is as it pertains to how he's playing or how he's going to play this year. This will be his second year. Spencer Brown also has a full year under his belt. What's weird about Spencer Brown is people that have come out and said, Spencer Brown maybe didn't play that well last year. And it's like, he was a rookie and he brought energy and dominated players. He wasn't always great, but what more do you want from anyway? I from a third round draft pick,
Who
right?
said that?
I saw it on Twitter in a couple different places, and people are kind of piling on. It's just what people do.
Next time, send it to me, please. I'm choosing violence for the rest of this month. I'm choosing violence on Twitter.
For me, if there's a guy there, corner for me first round, and if there's a guy there in the second round that can play guard or center, and that's primarily because Roger Saffold is old, right? He's still playing at a high level, but he's also on a 1-year deal. And then Mitch Morse isn't exactly getting any younger either. So that they could find a guy that they could bring in, much like they did Eric Wood, insert him at left guard while Roger Saffold is kind of, when he finishes his career, hopefully here after a Super Bowl this year, then that, they can play there 1 or 2 years, just like Eric Wood did. And then when Morse is done, slide him to center. That to me would be ideal. I don't think I'm looking for a tackle in this draft. That's my opinion of that comment.
Well, and I'm kind of with you, except I think if you're looking for it in the draft, I would agree that they might look for one. But if they don't get rid of all their picks and they keep them around for shits and giggles, even though we're not going to be able to roster all of them, right. I think you look for one in the later rounds, maybe 5, 6, 7. You look for one there. I don't think you look for one in the first 3 rounds. Not this year. With what we have this year and the moves we made during the offseason, this year you need a cornerback because you got to stop the other quarterback from throwing the ball, and then you need. So there's a couple things that are needed, and there's a couple people also in the chat reminding me that we did sign a tight end in OJ Howard, and we did bring in Crowder, so we do have the talent. But what I'm I guess the argument that I'm making for wide receiver, I respect OJ Howard. However, there's a reason why he signed the contract that he signed with us, and there's a reason why, because although he has all the intangibles, he has the athleticism, he has everything that like you would want out of an athletic, really, really good tight end. It just hasn't translated for him. It just like when he was drafted, people were talking about OJ Howard like he was gonna be Gonzalez, like he was going to be like the next greatest thing, and he's just been underwhelming. Now, I would love for him to prove me.
Go ahead. I was just going to add to it. The Achilles injury didn't help him. You'd love for him to prove you wrong.
Yeah, I'd love for him to prove me wrong and come out and be Gronk 2.0. Like I just do it. But what I'm saying is, you have him, and it's like, okay, we got him going with Knox, and we have all these guys, but outside of Stephon Diggs. Seriously, on offense, outside of Stephon Diggs and maybe Knox, right? Do you really, if Diggs went down and Knox went down, knock on wood here, because I don't want to wish any injuries on my guys, do you feel confident that we could still make it to the Super Bowl if Diggs went down?
So if Diggs went down, so Stephon Diggs obviously commands a lot of attention. Which opens up the field for a lot of other guys. I feel the Bills have the skill position players to overcome that enough to, make a Super Bowl. I mean, the Rams went to the Super Bowl without Robert Woods, who was a huge part of their offense. And then
he wasn't Cup though.
hang on a second. And then OBJ got hurt in the Super Bowl and they still managed to win. When you're looking at skill players and skill positions, we've talked about this a lot. I'm also in a position. You okay?
Yeah, I'm listening to you.
I heard you mumble something.
No, I'm like, man, because I'm shocked at your answer, but go ahead.
Well, hang on. And then this is the other part is, I believe we're reaching that phase of life in Josh Allen's career arch where he has to begin to raise the level of the talent around him, much like we see Tom Brady do, much like we see Aaron Rodgers do, and a lot of these other guys do. Like, I think that, those guys, if you've got 5 guys in a pattern or 4 guys in a pattern against any defense, somebody is going to be open more times than not. Are there times when they won't be? Sure. But generally speaking, somebody will be open, and it's up to Allen to get the ball to him. That's how I feel about it.
I hear that logic. I just don't think it's realistic. I think
Possible.
a realistic expectation is when Diggs goes down, you don't have guys double teaming him or bracketing him to allow Gabriel Davis to go off. Is Gabriel Davis a number 1 wide receiver? We don't know. We haven't seen it. I'm not saying he can't be.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not saying he can't be. What I'm saying, we haven't seen it. You look at other situations where we've seen receivers kind of shine and thrive, and then all of a sudden they need to become the number 1 guy, and it doesn't work the same.
Sure, Christian Kirk's about to find that out.
Christian Kirk is gonna find that out. We saw who's my guy that just Juju Smith-Schuster found that out the hard way after Antonio Brown left. Peerless Price, Richard Rush just threw it in the comments there. Peerless Price went down to Atlanta after he didn't have Eric Modes. He didn't look like the dude. He just didn't look like it. So what I'm saying is Gabriel Davis is very possibly the next guy, and I hope so. What I'm saying is, though, if we have an injury to our wide receiver room, I don't feel confident with OJ Howard, Dawson Knox, Gabriel Davis, and Isaiah McKenzie to get me to the Super Bowl. And yeah, you're right. Josh Allen has to elevate these players to take the next step. But guess what? Aaron Rodgers has 1 Super Bowl. You know why? Because they continually never draft guys for him in the first round. They continually never take care of offense. So it's like, as much as you want to really look back at the Super Bowl champions, and they don't have an Isaiah McKenzie leading them to the Super Bowl.
Right.
And that's with respect to Isaiah. I wanted him to be extended. So I want him on the team.
Yeah, for all intents and purposes, I mean, the last several Super Bowl champions have been stacked on the offense. Aaron Rodgers has not been devoid of weapons, though. I mean, Aaron Jones is a good football player. Devontae Adams is a good football player. Robert Tonyan is a good football player. Like, he's had decent fellas around him as far as that goes. How much of an impact was it because of he's Aaron Rodgers, and is he elevating the play of those guys? I don't know. But I just don't know that it's just that simple. The amount of times that we have felt, even in the last couple of years, that, oh my gosh, the Bills just went and got that guy. Who are they going to cover? Somebody's going to be open. There's no way they're going to be able to stop the run game because they're going to be worried about all the wide receivers on the field. Meanwhile, we can't, we end up with guys all covered, or the running backs, can't make plays. They can't, get through the line of scrimmage. I'm just
injured.
I know. I'm just not sure that it's that simple. I don't know what the answer is. Do I feel like,
we got injured? Because I said that the first year when we got Diggs, John Brown went down.
Yeah.
Like the combination of Brown, Diggs, and Beasley was something to really look forward to. And we didn't really get to experience it for the season. Because when Brown got hurt, we saw him for a couple games. And the games we saw him, it was glorious.
Yeah.
Because Brown did. So what I'm saying, because even to your example about the Rams, when you mentioned the Rams and you're like, well, I don't know, because Odell Beckham Jr., look, Robert Wood, they had a solid depth. Like when they traded for Beckham, Woods was still healthy.
Yep.
He got injured at very, very shortly after, but he got injured shortly after the trade happened. So
it's almost like they knew it was going to happen.
Maybe, but that's what I'm saying. It's like you have to continue to have that type of depth. If you don't have, if you're not able to make up for, and again, I don't want Diggs I want Diggs to be as healthy as possible for the rest of his career. Right. But what I'm saying is, if by the chance, this is a rough game we play, if he gets injured, and I also see Stevenson in the comments, I don't have faith in Stevenson to take over wide receiver role. Not yet. We ain't seen it.
Yeah, not yet. You'd have to see. Yeah, we're going to need to see some. We're going to need to see something from that young man for sure, right? So, I mean, he can come out.
That's all I'm saying. That's why I feel like a wide receiver is a need.
Yeah, he could come out. Stevenson could come out in preseason and show us something. He could come out in preseason and get cut. You just don't know. I just don't know what the answer is for me when it comes down to these situations and the needs. I guess the question I would ask you is, if you're drafting, does it make more sense to do the Bill Belichick model of the past, which is trade out of all of your positions and stack draft picks for next year? Or do you draft 8 guys, right? Because you've got 8 picks as per Chris Janke. You've got 8, hoping you strike gold on one, knowing that of the 8, probably 4 to 5 of them are not going to make your roster. And then you're going to probably practice squad 3 of the other 5 that didn't make the roster, and they're going to get plucked off like Wild Goose did. At that point, you're drafting for other teams. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't know what the answer is. I'm firmly in the let's have 3 picks. Let's draft 3 guys or 4 guys, and that's it.
I'm with you. 4 guys. Give me a receiver, 2 cornerbacks, and a running back. I'd be happy.
You don't need an offensive. You don't think offensive lineman's a need?
I think depth would be nice to have, but I don't think it's a need. I think they spent money in free agency, to shore up and actually Brandon Beane said in his presser today, you try to go through in free agency and be aggressive or somewhat aggressive. So that way you have as little holes as possible.
Yeah.
And when you look at the offensive side of the ball, and I'm talking about the starting unit.
Yeah.
I think we're set. Like when you're talking about that offensive line, I'm not worried about the O-line. Depth, yes.
Yeah.
They're still bringing back. And I'm with you, Chris. I'm with you. But what I'm saying is, if we're only going to do 4 picks, I need 2 cornerbacks. Give me 2 cornerbacks.
Well, he's talking about using those 7 or 8 picks on depth. The problem is those depth guys aren't going to make the roster.
You still only got 53 roster spots.
Right.
That's all you have. And then, okay, let's take a step back real quick, because again, we only have 53 roster spots. Before the draft, right now, we probably have, what would you say, like, I would say 50 guys right now that could absolutely make the team if we didn't even do the draft.
So when you're talking, I agree with
that. So I don't know. Like I feel like with the additions that we made, we got stronger on the defense. I feel like we got better on the defensive line for sure.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking at a team who really maybe only has space to add 3 guys.
Right.
Maybe. And then protect a guy or 2 on the practice squad. Like that's what you're looking at right here. And we got people talking about trading back so that way we can add additional picks. Come on, man. And shout out to Jason real quick, because you're right. Nobody's counting punter. You are absolutely right. We need a damn punter. We need a damn punter. 100%. Shout out to you and David S. for saying that. We should absolutely include a punter, because what we went through last year, it can't happen. It just can't happen again.
So Jason Taylor says 6 draftees make the roster. Last year, I think only 4 or 5 did. So they cut a bunch of guys that they had drafted, which was a big surprise, because we all went into the draft, or after the draft, when it came down to roster cutting time, if you remember, and we were all like, Brandon Beane likes his draft picks. He's going to keep his draft picks. And he didn't. He parted ways with a lot of them and put them on the practice squad. Marquez Stevenson ended up in the practice squad. So did Rashad Wildgoose. Wildgoose got plucked, and some of the other guys. But I don't know that 6 guys. Do you think 6 guys make the roster? If they draft 8, 6 guys making the team?
I think 3 guys make this team with the guys that we've signed.
Right.
And we haven't even re-signed or talked about bringing back Jerry Hughes. Like, there are guys that are still without a contract who could easily just start again.
If they want, if they want to take the money the Bills want to offer him.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, like, we're basically at this point. Last year was tough. This year is going to be so much tougher when it's time for you and me and all the other networks and other podcasts to do, how we all do all right, it's the cut down day. We're going to do our roster. And when it's time for that, this year is going to be tough.
Especially if we keep last year. It was tough last year.
It was. And so it's like right now you have your team, okay, we have the nucleus plus some to go back to where we feel like we should be. We got our goals set on the Super Bowl.
Yeah. For sure.
We don't have 8 roster positions. We just don't have it. We don't have it. And I don't know. It's going to be tough, man. It's going to be tough. Because then I'm going to tell you what, too, when Trey comes off IR, that's another person that has to be deactivated so who are we going to put down to bring Trey up? And then who are we going to, all of this stuff has to work. And it's, I'm telling you, man, it's going to be a rough one. It's going to be, our feelings are going to be hurt because we love all these guys. Like, that's the good thing about Buffalo and the fan base and our team. We love for the most part. I know we try to run some guys out at times when they kind of do things that the fan base don't like. But for the most part, we love everybody on the roster, 1 to 53, and the practice squad players. I've never seen a fan base who knows every guy on the practice squad and backs them up. Like, I still have people asking me about Christian Wade.
Yep.
Like that's how much they love these people. So I get it. It's going to be tough, man. Get ready for your heart to be broken.
Yeah. So Chris Jenke, I think he feels like he's proven me wrong, which he is to a point, but he's also proving me right. Only Wildgoose and Jack Anderson didn't make the roster last year. Stevenson started on IR last year. 5 guys made the active roster. That's the only point I was trying to make, is that 6 guys did not make the roster last year. So to just say that it's going to be easy for 6 guys to make the roster this year, to me, is a long shot. Let's stay in the same vein, but transition.
It's going to be less. Go ahead.
Yeah, which is fine, to corner and corner needs. And how does I guess how does the cornerback situation change if the Bills bring in a guy like Joe Hayden? And oh, by the way, you wanted to kind of chat a little bit about just Von Miller's comments about Joe Hayden.
Yeah, like first of all, Joe, what are you not you, Joe? Joe Hayden.
What's taking
What
so
are you
long?
doing, dude? What's taking so long? Okay. Von said he made the y'all talked it up, y'all chopped it up, had the whole, what is happening, man?
Right.
Get to 716, go talk to Brandon, make this thing happen. I need your signature on a contract for the Buffalo Bills right now. Go make it happen. I don't know what we're waiting on.
Do you think it's the Bills? Do you think maybe the Bills aren't looking?
No, they're looking. I don't know if they're not looking at him. I don't know, but they're looking. You see that they were in the mix for Stephon Gilmore, which man,
is it true or not? Is it true? Is it
no,
legit? Legit?
No, it's true.
Or was it rumors?
No, we were in the mix, 100%.
I never believed those reports.
No, we were in the mix. What ended up happening was just the cost got too expensive for us, but we were absolutely in the mix. There was real interest. There was real conversation. And what his asking price was, it was okay. We're out, man. Good luck. That's where it ended. But no, there was real interest in Stephon Gilmore. And
am I allowed to ask where you heard that from?
You can ask it. I can't tell you. But no, I can promise you though. I heard it from I trust these people. The people that I talk to now, I trust these people.
Yeah, for sure. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. So I knew the first show I did on free agency was he was included, or no, maybe the second show because that was after like the fray had ended, and Spot Track had him at 2 years for 28 million, 14 million a year. I don't know why the Bills would be in on him when everybody knew he was going to go somewhere between 12 and 14 million a year. Like,
well, the conversation initially was also about winning. So it was the way they basically tried to offer it to him was like, look, man, we're about to do something special. We're the team that drafted you. Come back and just make this thing work. Let's just do it. And so, I mean, that's kind of where it went. But then when the numbers started to come in, it's like, yeah, that sounds good, but but this is where my family needs to be. So, and I respect it. I respect that.
Yeah, for sure. So Joe Hayden, how does Joe Hayden change that picture for you of need at corner? Are we still drafting corner at 1 if Joe Hayden comes in?
I would still like to draft 1 if Joe Hayden comes in. I think the drop off between Stephon Gilmore and well, I mean, if we're in round 1 and it's 20, if it's the 25th pick, I would absolutely take a cornerback there.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Interesting. I don't know. I don't know where I know the Bills need. We all know that McDermott loves to have the old vet guy in each room. Right now, that guy is Tre'Davious White, who's injured and won't be in that room for a period of time until he's back. So you have to wonder if he is working, and there's still guys out there. AJ Bouye's out there. Obviously, Joe Hayden's out there. Guys like that are out there.
AJ Bouye's still out there?
I'm pretty sure.
Go ahead. Keep talking. I don't know why I felt like he got signed.
You can check it, but I thought he was still. I had not heard that.
No, if he's not, he's not, then
he's just often injured. Yeah, he's often injured is the problem.
I would prefer him.
Well, right. I mean, yeah, Hayden's got a little more mileage. Hayden was stellar and outstanding in Cleveland and then took his wares to Pittsburgh where you think he would get better and kind of didn't. You know what I mean? Like Hayden was the man in Cleveland. He was a lockdown cornerback. I just don't know. I don't know where it puts us. Corner to me is a huge need. I don't think the Buffalo Bills, and I like these guys. We've talked about it. We love every guy in this roster. I don't think the Bills can start the season, especially in this division right now with Dane Jackson and Cam Lewis as your starting corners. I know they can work magic. And I know that Brandon Beane said today, we start up front. And it's clear that he was talking about the defense and not the offense because they have not done a great job of putting an offensive line together over the last 4 or 5 years. But he said on defense, and I'm basically adding the defense in there. We start up front and we get stout up front, which allows everything behind them to kind of go a little bit easier and kind of fall into place. I just don't think you can start the season with Dane Jackson and Cam Lewis. To me, that's not ideal.
I don't either. And as comfortable as the team is with those guys, and they are comfortable. They love Dane Jackson. They love Cam Lewis. They love, they love the guys who are rostered on this team.
Yep.
I'm with you though. It's just like as much as they love them and as much as they're confident in them, dude, we can't. If week 1, if we're going up against the Rams, there's no way I want Dane Jackson covering Cooper Kupp
and Cam Lewis on the other side covering whoever the other guy is, right?
Like there's no who's their free agent? They just picked up a big Allen Robinson. They just picked up Allen Robinson.
Right, yeah.
So there's no way I want Cam Lewis covering Allen Robinson and Dane Jackson covering Cooper Kupp. Like, no, or vice versa. It just should not happen.
Allen Robinson especially. I work out every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at the same gym Cam Lewis does. He's not a man of great stature.
Not happening. Not happening.
Actually,
and it's like,
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say something I shouldn't say, so you're good. Go ahead.
There's been a lot of canceling happening lately. We don't want to do that ourselves. So let's.
It wasn't that. It was just inside information that I've gotten that it's.
I got you.
Similar situation where I just pulled it back in.
Yeah, like me. Like, yeah, you can ask me, but I can't tell you. I tell you when we're not live. We can talk after.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, it's like I just, like I said, as much as I love those guys and as much as I think that they're pretty good, they're not good enough to cover the top receivers in the league. And right now, it's a receivers league. The AFC is stacked, and our schedule is not easy. So look, we're going to be facing good quarterbacks with good receivers, good tight ends. It's gonna be tough. So sure. I need a tight end, and like you said, Trey. There's a little bit of hope. There's a little bit of hope that he might be ready a little bit earlier, but I would not look forward to that if ever, so if there are people telling you in the chat, like I'm saying to everybody in the chat right now, if there's people out there telling you like Trey White's going to be ready for the start of the season, I would not bet on that. So
we've talked about it. We've talked about it on this show. And I think, I'm not expecting to see Trey White until probably Thanksgiving, October, November. And I think Chris Jenke's the one that said it's like a 6 to 8 month injury and he should be ready to go. I would be surprised.
No,
it's literally surprised.
And I'm not a world-class athlete by any means, but I did tear my ACL, and I promise you, it is not. I mean, you got to be Adrian Peterson to do that in 6 months and then come back and be a beast like that. I haven't seen it elsewhere. I haven't seen it elsewhere.
Even Saquon Barkley was out for a year in the first 4 to 5 games. It took him a while to get his legs back his feet back underneath him. So go ahead.
Oh no, I'm sorry, I was clicking it wrong. I was about to say just to John saying he doesn't see it either. He doesn't see Trey being ready.
Yeah. He says he wouldn't count on him being out or in. Yeah, at this point we just don't know, and that's what McDermott said today. It's day by day. They got to take it day by day.
Yep. So like I said, we'll see. But I'm just going into this draft, and like I said, it's a weird feeling to have being a Bills fan, because typically for my entire life I haven't been able to feel like this.
Yeah,
we actually, yes, I want a cornerback or two, but if the draft was just non-existent, if they was like, you know what, the draft is canceled this year, as of right now, I still feel confident with the team that we have going into the season.
Outside of corner,
but even with the corner being the way that it is, because we have Hyde and Poyer, it masks some of those deficiencies. Because when Trey went down last year, and I know we still had Levi, but still, it was a big loss to lose Trey.
Oh yeah.
So.
Well, that AFC playoff game probably goes different if Trey's in that game, right? I mean, I see no way, unless they've got something in their back pocket, I see no way that they're not drafting corner in round 1. I just don't, whether it's moving up or what, I just don't know how they do it. Unless they know that after the draft, if the guy they want doesn't fall to them, they're signing one of these other guys. I just don't know how it's even possible that they're not drafting corner. They got to draft one, if not two.
God, that they draft a corner, man. Like, if they don't, I'm gonna be so heartbroken. I'm gonna be so heartbroken.
Calling for it last year, weren't we?
We were. Well, yeah, we were. I was calling for either a cornerback or a running back. That's what I wanted last year.
Yeah. Crazy. I got nothing else. What do you got? We gonna get out of here a little bit early tonight?
You know what? Let's end it off. I know we touched on it for a second, but we didn't get into it. I really need to understand, and then maybe you can help, or maybe people in the comments can help me understand, why is the fan base torn at all about giving Jordan Poyer this extension? I just it doesn't make sense to me. Like this past season, this guy, not only was he an All-Pro player, but the past season, I just said that he and Micah Hyde together, completely masked any of our deficiencies at cornerback. They basically saved us. Also, like we had issues with the run game last year. They were the best run support that we had.
Yeah.
I get that it comes down sometimes to personalities and politics and outside stuff. But when we're talking about just football, please give me one reason. And I don't want to hear age, because to me that's not a good reason.
Well, hang on.
You're saying age, but he was an All-Pro player this year, so to me he's not too old.
So the reality is Brandon Beane did him a solid today. The question is whether or not Bills Mafia heard it. So when you look at football and you look at, new contracts and you look at positioning and marketing and, because all that stuff is what the agent does, and then strategy behind getting new contracts. So Brandon Beane came out and said, yes, I know that Jordan wants to get paid. I have a whole bunch of other guys that have reached out to me as well that now want to get paid. They want to be, re-upped. I can't pay all of them. Even if I wanted to pay all of them, I can't pay all of them, right, is what he said, which is him letting the Mafia know, again, whether or not they listen is another story, and I'm going somewhere with all this, letting the Mafia know, hey, by the way, Jordan's not the only one. Like, a whole bunch of agents have called me and said, our deal isn't up yet, but hello, like, you thinking about us? The problem is, to your point, as far as to answer your question of what's going on with people thinking he's not that good or whatever, however it was that you framed it, is it's the way that his agent has had, going and getting Drew Rosenhaus, becoming very vocal about it, and he's putting himself in that position of making the Mafia turn against you. And we've seen it from this fan base over and over, and it will very quickly turn into, and I talked about it with Diggs, or I talked about it with whoever. He isn't that good anyway. Give me a guy with heart. I'll take a guy with heart over talent any day. We don't need them superstars around here. That's just how the Mafia has always been. And it's frustrating and it's annoying and I hate it. We've talked about it on this show recently. That's what's happening right now. Poyer is he's sending a message, which is a message he's allowed to send. He made first team All-Pro, probably because of you. That's a joke.
He actually says that to me. And I'm being funny. He actually says it. So he signed this for me. Go ahead. I'll grab it.
Yeah. He made first team All-Pro. He's got the resume. He's got reason to gripe. He's got reason to go ahead. Tell me what. I haven't seen that yet. Did he write on it?
He wrote on it. He just said,
how'd you get that to him? How'd you get that to him?
I shipped it to him and he shipped it back.
Oh, sweet. Nice.
So he autographed it and everything down here. Big dubs. Huge big dubs this season coming up. But yeah, All-Pro. So he signed it for me. But the thing is, when we do have certain discussions, he'll tell me like, nah, man, you understand how much of a contribution you made to making sure that the media finally put eyes on that. I don't see it that way, but I appreciate the fact that he does. Yeah. And listen, so if we got that power at Buffalo Rumblings, man, I'm this year we got to All-Pro somebody else. It's happening.
So he's got the resume, he's got the reasons as far as that goes to ask, to be in the situation to ask to be taken care of now. Hey, I don't want to leave. Let's dance, right? The problem is the Mafia just doesn't see it that way. The Mafia sees it more about the fact that he's a guy putting himself before the team. That's how they see it. You're putting yourself before the team. You can read that if you want to.
My man Chris Janke, the real Chris Janke, says the argument against is it's not smart to pay a safety top tier money. It's not considered by many a premium position. If you pay Poyer, you probably can't pay Knox, Oliver, Edmonds, or Singletary.
It's not going to be a huge deal, and it's not going to be a long deal. It's probably going to be 2 extra years, and they can probably, the way every deal Beane has constructed in the last 2 years, he can get out of. So if it's a 2-year extension, I guarantee you he can get out of the last year of it. So I don't think it's going to be a ton of money. I can check Spot Track and tell you what. I
feel like it's going to be a 3-year type thing, and like you said, get out of it the 3rd year. And I think they're going to do the same thing with Micah Hyde. I think they're going to link those 2 guys together like they have. They're going to keep them together. I don't see him leaving Buffalo. But as far as Chris's comment, I hear you, because I hear the argument by a lot of people that it's not a premier position. Mm-hmm. My argument or my rebuttal to that is I think it's not a premier position when you're looking at the league and the way teams are constructed. But when you're looking at the Buffalo Bills, it's absolutely a premier position because safety play in this defense is premier. Without Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde back there, it's not the same team. It's just not. And I don't care how. So again, same question. So we don't do it. So we draft somebody. Do you think first year coming in, say we trade him now because he's looking for a contract and we can't get it done. So it's like, you know what, let's trade him. Let's get something for him while we can still do it. You draft somebody. Are you confident that we draft somebody and this year we go to the Super Bowl?
I'm not confident in that. I'm confident in the two guys they have behind. Jaquan Johnson and Damar Hamlin aren't bad players. It remains to be seen if they're Jordan Poyer players. But Spot Track has Jordan in the Devin McCourty, Malcolm Jenkins, Adrian Phillips, Rodney McLeod, Jimmy Ward, kind of, and Devin McCourty, 32, he signed 2 years, 23 million, 11.5. They've got Jordan at about 11.6. And to me, that's not premier money. I mean, 11.6.
No. And so if that's what he's going to get, and let me also, Steve just said this, so I want to bring this up because this is a good point. Steve says no one realizes that sometimes these athletes just has one or two chances to make money in football for the rest of their lives. Here's the thing about Jordan Poyer. Mm-hmm. So when he was with the Eagles, didn't work out. Obviously, he was with Cleveland, got injured, didn't work out. Obviously, he didn't make big money in either of those places.
Right.
Neither of those places did he make money. He came to Buffalo. Guess what? We got him on a contract that looked pretty darn good because he didn't prove to us or to anybody before that he was the guy that he is now. Now he's an All-Pro. So that matters. So now he's in a position for his entire career to get that bag. He didn't get to do it as a rookie because he wasn't a number 3 overall pick. He wasn't, he didn't get the 5th-year option and he didn't get all of it. Because he wasn't that prospect coming out of college. He didn't do it.
I will say that his first year as a Buffalo, his first year as a Buffalo Bill, he made $5.1 million. His second year, $3 million. His 2019, he made $3.5 million. 2020, he made $9.2 million. In 2021, he made $6.8 million. So he's not poor, right? So
I'm not saying that he's not poor or anything, but what I'm saying is the contracts that he's gotten has not been top 10 contracts for safeties.
Sure. Well, he wasn't a top 10 safety until now.
So what I'm saying is now this is his opportunity. He's played his career. He's all pro, his big dubs, all this stuff. This is his window. So just like we're saying for the team, this is the window for the Super Bowl. For him as a person, this is his window to make his bread. And it's like, look, I just was all pro. What else do I have to do to show I deserve it?
Right. For sure. Yeah, for sure. No, you're not going to get an argument from me. But my only,
I know.
Yeah, like literally, I love Jordan Poyer, and I would hate to. I don't want to see the day that those two guys aren't back there. It's coming. It's going to happen quick. Like in the next 3 years, they're not going to be back there. But for me, it's just more about, you asked the question, why are people saying he's not that good or he's not worth the money or whatever? The reason is because he hired Drew Rosenhaus and he didn't show up. Ridiculously, didn't show up to, not him being ridiculous. It's ridiculous that he didn't show up to OTAs, and people are like, Jordan Poyer didn't show up. Well, neither did Stephon Diggs. You don't seem to have a problem. And he just signed a $96 million contract, and the boy didn't show up.
So I tell you, and I know we love the energy that Josh brings. Well, no, I don't feel like I need to be here, but I absolutely want to be here. That was like the quote of the day, right?
Yep, that was the quote.
Everybody was talking about it. Everybody was saying it. And yeah, you want all your players to say that and to feel like that. But at the same time, we're acting like Jordan Poyer isn't, I don't know. I just think it's ridiculous when we start attacking guys based on them doing what's best for them personally.
But it's context.
You know what I mean? Like,
it's context. Josh Allen. So the quote was, I don't have to be here. I want to be here. Well, the next couple sentences matter. I love being around the guys. I love playing cards. I love the time we get to spend together. It's not like I want to be here to learn football. That's not why
Jordan isn't here. I'm definitely here. It wasn't that. He wasn't even taking a shot at Jordan.
It's not about the work. As much as he loves camp, the reality is he probably doesn't love camp. He probably loves the day that you show up to camp. Like, that's probably a fun day. He probably loves the evenings, but it's a grind. Everybody knows that camp is a grind. So I don't think that he was saying that he loves to come to work as far as that goes. I think he just likes he likes the guy time. He likes being around the dudes, right?
So. I just need us to ease up as a fan base. When it comes to our guys, I just need us to ease up because sometimes guys are going to have situations like this where the team could be affected by something that they personally need financially. But at the same time, like, he's earned it. Like, Jordan Poyer has not been a problem player. He hasn't have off field. I know we talk, like, some people don't like his wife and some people don't like whatever.
I could care less about his wife.
Yeah, I could care less. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I love Rachel, but I could care less about what she posts. I could care less about what she does, whatever contract she got. Good for her. God bless her and God bless their daughter. But when it comes to football, I know Jordan Poyer, ain't nobody running across that middle because the ball either gonna get intercepted or they're gonna get popped. I need Jordan Poyer back there. Yeah. That's it. Like, I'm not talking about other stuff. And shout out to my man John with the Iverson quote. We're talking about practice.
Not a game.
Not a game. Practice. Shout out to John. That was perfect, John. That was perfect.
Yep. And it's not even practice. It's sit down and read a book type stuff. So, yeah. Which right now for the offense is important because they've got a new offensive coordinator. You know who it's not important for? The defense. Right? So.
And then, well, let me ask you, do you really think it's that important for the offense? I think they're using the same for the most part. Everything's going to be the same with a couple wrinkles.
They are, but it's going to be different, right? I mean, they've got different personnel, so it's going to be different. I mean, Josh talked about it today when he said that, my safety outlet, my safety valve is gone. Like the guy that I relied on to be that guy that was always right there is gone. So it's going to be different. I think there's something to be, and they got two new quarterbacks. I mean, Barkley's back, but they've got two new guys in the quarterback room, which is important as well. But
I think Barkley is practice squad. I don't think he's going to be active.
More than likely, you're right.
Yeah, they're not going to carry 3. At least I wouldn't expect them to.
No, but
he's here so many roster spots.
Yeah, can he go to the practice squad at his age? Is the question. I think he can. I don't know if they did. They
yeah,
changed that rule. They changed that rule for COVID, didn't they? Yeah. So you want me to get us up out of here?
Real quick, yes, but before you do me a favor and blaze that like, and then Joe is going to send us out.
Yeah, everybody, blaze, hump, toke, whatever you got to do to that like button. Jump on the like button to get our metrics up. Also, if you have not yet subscribed to the Buffalo Rumblings YouTube page, please do so, and also click the bell so that you get notifications when we go live. We can't say anything, but there's new talent coming this way. So there's some shows that are going to be added, which is really, really fun. To the Buffalo Rumblings platform, YouTube platform soon. So you definitely want to click the bell so you know when we're going live, obviously, so you can catch all of me, all of Jay Spence King, all of John Fina, all of Bruce and Nate Geary, and whatever else we might bring your way.
We got new shows coming?
I think so. I thought I heard a rumor that there's some new shows coming. So, but yeah.
Oh, snaps.
But ladies and gentlemen, go ahead. You got a what?
No, I was saying I got to ask you about that. I haven't been plugged in. I got to find out what's going on.
Got to click the bell. Ring my bell. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, you've been tuned into the Hump Day Hotline on the Buffalo Rumblings Vodcast Network. I'm your host of the Hump Day Hotline. My name is Joe Miller. That over there is my co-host, also the host of the Hump Day Hotline, Jay Spence the King, who might not be here next week because homeboy, enemy number 1, is going to be in Las Vegas at the draft.
Wait a minute. Actually, no, I'm glad you said something. Actually, you calling me the enemy. Meanwhile, Joe is having barbecues and stuff.
With my
posting,
family,
posting
my wife.
But then me and John Fina goes out and he's like, "Where's my invite?" Wait a minute, bro. Where's my invite?
Barbecue with wife and kids, hanging out with John Fina.
Don't let Beth hear you say
You know what I'm saying. So
I got you.
You know what I'm saying. So I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it, homeboy. So, but anyways, Jay Spencer King. Maybe if you are you going to be flying during the show, or are you going to be there?
I'm actually going to be driving because I'm close. I live in Phoenix.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. So you're going to be driving after work. I was to say, because if you were on location already, maybe we could bring you in for 10 minutes or something like that. But yeah. No worries. So are you joining any shows? I've already done the send off, but now I'm asking you more questions. Are you joining any shows while you're out there? Are you doing anything like live or anything?
Because I'm sure draft day, Buffalo Rumblings will probably, I haven't been privy to any conversations, but we normally have like a draft, some type of draft show. Mm-hmm. If there's any other networks that kind of wants me to pop in for on site, I'm more than willing to. Just hit me up. We'll discuss links and all that other stuff. But yeah, no, anything that's going on, I'm more than willing to do it. I'm so excited. It's the first year that I'm for not just the draft, but for anything. It's the first year that I'm being credentialed as a media member, and Sweet. I'm getting access to all these things and doing things. I'm going to the VIP party. It's like a super fan and previous play, like a former player and super fan party that I've been invited to. That's going to be a ton of fun. So I'll have the information for that this weekend. We're going to bring the Chop Up back. Chop Up is going to be back this weekend. So I'll have the announcement for that this weekend, as well as next Tuesday on the Code of Conduct. And yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm excited.
Sweet. Joe Miller, Jay Spencer King, Hump Day Hotline, Buffalo Rumblings. Go Bills.
Go Bills.